Hello. Okay, this is a take two because I buggered up the first video. Right, so I'm gonna do a little drawing now. I'm gonna take it off me, and I'm going to do a bit of a drawing and talk through about how I feel the soul chooses its life, and then also how it sees time and how it exists within time and outside of time. So this is the soul outside of time. And this is the soul picking its linear objectives, if you like. And you may say that each one of these is like not the whole timeline, but each one of these is an important aspect in life. So this might be when it's like 7 years old, this might be when it's 35 years old, this might be, I don't know, maybe not that old, but like 40. Let's say 40 and then 65 or whatever. And then obviously how it chooses to pop its clogs. There we go, but it never really pops its clogs, does it? So you might say see this in a lot of NDEs as well when they talk about a life review, and the soul pops out here and they're then watching this like life review, and it might be a TV for some people, it might be just literally in front of them, and then they say that there's an angel next to them here, etc., etc. So it's like the life review. But really, from a lot of the stuff I've watched, and no, I'm terrible for remembering resources. I really should try and get resources, but to be honest, for the sake of this theory, I'm not bothered. But a lot of the things I've watched from hundreds of NDEs and stuff like that, a lot of them do tend to corroborate that yes, there is a life review, but that it's, self-judgment, or the judge is the very self, not anyone else, and that when they go to hell, it's not really hell, it's the soul's version of hell. It's not it's a self-imposed hell. It might be that the soul did something wrong and all the way through life never really processed it, forgive themselves, or the people, they felt other people didn't forgive them, and so it went through itself, imposed hell. If you're religious, that might be going to the fire and brimstone kind of hell, and if not, if you're not religious, it might be another version of hell, whatever you're into. um but that's only if that soul feels like that, and it's not eternal damnation, if you like. There is a period when the soul decides, right, I've had enough of that, and then eventually realizes it's just come here for an experience, let's get back to this. Yeah, so you've got the life review here, self-judgment. So time, how does time work for the soul? So let's say this is the soul. Oh God. Let's say this is time. So even time, if you look, so you say you've got the soul, it's a circle, and you've got time. Time is still really infinite. Time, you think how long the earth existed, the stars have existed and stuff like that. But when the soul drops itself onto time as a structure, if you like, my idea, and it's not just my idea as well, there's other people that believe this, is that the soul takes itself from being outside of time and projects itself into time. So say you're born here, okay? And then when the soul has its, let's say, perspective on Earth, rather than its usual perspective, which is all the way around here, and it's looking that way, it's looking that way, it's a lot of NDEs say that they can literally, people who have even gone out of body say that they can look all around the body. They can say like there's no, it's so hard to quantify, and it's not surprising that when they come back to linear experience of duality and, you know, seeing through these two human eyes, that they can't explain the colors they see, they can't explain how they can see everything, they can see themselves. And like a lot of OBEs have sometimes said that they can see two of themselves. They can see their higher self kind of there watching the body, and then they can see the body and stuff like that, see from the body's perspective. Very interesting stuff. But we obviously see through our field of perspective, or if you're Wayne Rooney, you can see like this. Apparently he had an amazing field of view, which probably made him a very good footballer. So yes, let's say the average human's got about this. But not only have you got a limited field of perspective, but because you are kind of just looking in front of you and stuff, we're also within time, aren't we? So if we say that time's this, and it's like this pathway, and all we're thinking is that there's this future, and then there's this past behind us, okay? And this is a soul, and it's going, and it's like, oh, it's got a past, it's got a thing. But really, when people, you know, when mediums and everyone are saying we're in the present all the time, it's kind of this. We only have the present moment, because even though we might be here and we think we've got the past and the future, really, all we have is that present. You're always connected to your present no matter where you are. And look, it's like hands on a clock. The hands and the clock move, but they're always connected to the middle. And it's funny because they kind of show us this reality to our faces. It's really funny. They're just constantly showing you this reality in your face, and you never realize it. And this, just knowing this, I feel, may help humanity and help people to see that you are infinite. It's just that you're in this human body, and like anything, even like a clock, you know, it just means that when you're in this vessel, yeah, we have limitations, okay? But limitations are the very reason the soul comes here, because limitations, you know, allow it to, let's say, hyper focus. So say you're a soul and you've got all this access to any of these events, any at all, but you can manifest it instantly within this space, okay? Like, let's just say within the ethereal, all right? Everything manifests infinitely. But also, I didn't mean infinitely. Everything manifests immediately, okay? So when everything manifests immediately for you, it's very hard to stop maybe and appreciate that, but also to evaluate and experience that you can just move on from the next thing to the next thing to the next thing to the next thing. Whereas limitation and suffering and difficulty and hardship, it makes you, you know, there's a lot of stages to that. You have to reflect on that. You have to feel it in your body as well. And the vessel itself is probably something that God or source, whatever you wish to call it individually, maybe that's something that is also an aspect of this game, this experience of life. It's that, you know, we can feel pain, like the very feeling of pain, like is an experience, and it probably in some unusual ways enriches the experience that you couldn't get as a soul. Like, you can't feel pain. Like all the NDEs say, like when they go, and other people who have kind of gone out of body, you don't feel pain. The soul doesn't feel it. Like they've jumped off these kind of, like, I heard one experience where they literally jumped off this skyscraper as a soul, and they were shitting themselves, and pardon the French, but they were, and they kind of like hit the ground, but they didn't hit it. They kind of like that far off it, and there was no gravitational comeback from that or anything like that. It's just like they just kind of floated off. So it's like, can you imagine that? Like, knowing you're Superman, knowing you're infinite, like how nice would it actually be to not be infinite for a day, and be like, gosh, I can't just manifest that milk for me brew. I've got, I've got to go and walk the dog, then do this, then do this. Whereas when you are just infinite and it's boom, 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 you know, you would eventually wish for an experience that is not that. So that's my estimation on it anyway. Boom. Much love and light, and oh my god, my phone's about to stop my video because I've run out of memory. Beautiful.